Well, welcome everyone, and I just wanted to welcome you to a new edition of Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City. Now, as you can see, we're trying some new technology here, so you're gonna have to bear with us. And it's my great pleasure to introduce to the show Councillor Bud Mercer. Bud, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking.
Well, that's great, and thanks for being on the show. And you're working from home, clearly. You're monitoring, doing the social distancing thing, which is great. How has COVID-19 affected city operations? What's closed and what's open?
Well, I think like everything in society in the world right now, the City of Chilliwack's impacted like everybody is around the world. We're respecting all of the World Health Organization and the federal provincial government recommendations. Our operations have scaled back. We have a large number of individuals working from home, but aside from that, the city's open for business. We're just doing it in a different.
Okay, well, that's great. Your background is with the RCMP, and not all residents are going to know everything about you. Maybe you could just share a little bit about that background and maybe how during these times you're able to draw on from that background.
Yeah, thank you. I was an RCMP officer for 35 years. I worked myself through the ranks from a young constable on the street in Corner Brook, Newfoundland, to retiring as the assistant commissioner of the RCMP. My last job was I was responsible for security for the 2010 Olympics. I retired in 2010, joined the private sector, and worked for the government in Ottawa for 5 years before coming back to Chilliwack. No matter where I've worked in the province or around the world, my wife and I have always kept a home here in Chilliwack.
Well, good. Yeah. So your background with the RCMP, with things that are going on in the city right now, we're not in a total lockdown like some countries are, like some provinces are. BC is not in total lockdown yet, but there are instructions in terms of keeping social distancing. What's the city's position? What are residents allowed to do and what shouldn't they be doing? And can you offer any advice to citizens of Chilliwack?
Yeah, very clearly. I think the rules, if you want to call it, for accountability to each other, clear. It's been set out by a provincial health officer. It's no different than any other country or city or county or province around the world. We're stressing that social distancing is probably the most important thing that everybody has to do, not just for yourself, but for everybody around you, your family, your friends, your loved ones. Common sense thing that we teach our children into their elbow, so that everybody wash your hands annually, avoid crowds. The government standard of 50 people, even for businesses, the restaurants. So it's just doing the common sense things that we've all been told to do over and over and over again.
Yeah.
In my travels around the city, I see people are respecting that, but unfortunately, occasionally I come across something that just baffles the imagination or common sense. People stand in tight groups. There was a picture being circulated of a lady lifting a child over the security tape, so the child play inside the playground that are obviously closed.
So, okay, so just on that, and I've seen some of these things and heard some of these things as well. As far as that's concerned, what is the city policy there? The playgrounds are closed. What happens if people disregard that bylaw? Is it now, or is there a criminal offense? Is there a civil offense? Can they get a ticket? How are you executing that?
Well, right now we're trying to stress the message in every possible communication medium possible. I guess technically there could be a bylaw issue ticket issued, but it's our hope that the citizens of Chilliwack will understand the importance of what we're doing and comply with the direction for everybody's safety, and it won't get to that.
Do you anticipate Chilliwack or BC going into total lockdown? And the reason why I'm asking that question is it seems, in just following internationally, certain countries have gone into total lockdown. Italy, France, the UK, Spain, certain US states, and I believe Ontario and Quebec now are in total lockdown. And it seems like that's the only way to actually do what they say is to flatten the curve once it gets out of control. In just looking at the numbers in BC, we're seeing an exponential rate of growth. We're a little bit behind the US, but maybe 10 days behind, and I think we're going to be at where they are in terms of their growth. So do you see Chilliwack completely shutting down at any point?
You know, Barris, if I was a betting person, I think we are going to get to that. But we'll take the lead from, you know, Dr. Bonnie Henry, the provincial health officer, in that regard. If she orders that, like every other community or city in the province, will comply with it.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. But I just feel like we may be getting a little bit behind the curve as a province by not just doing a total shutdown now. So moving on, in terms of what is open and what's not open, a lot of businesses have self-shut down. I think that's a good idea. The grocery stores are busy, and if you try the big box retailers, I don't know if you go to Superstore or Walmart or any of these, it's a zoo in these places, and people wearing gloves, wearing masks, and sitting for an hour and a half or so in lineup to pay for their groceries. It's pretty ugly. But, you know, maybe you can comment. There's other places to shop. Where do you shop? Where do you recommend?
Yeah, you know, I think for full disclosure, my wife and I are on day 11 of a 14-day stay-at-home self-isolation. We were caught in the US, and 2 days before we returned home, the 14-day requirement was recommended by our provincial health officer, and my wife and I respected that. So our children are delivering the necessary groceries and everything to the house.
Well, I was going to offer to get you some groceries in that case, because the pantry must be looking a little bit low by now. But you got your kids looking after you.
Yeah, we do. So, but anecdotally, from our children, the places that they've found it easier to grocery shop is our local suppliers, our community stores, places like the Fraser Valley Meats, the Mad Butcher, the Rosedale grocery store, and the smaller community stores. We've had great success in getting the food and house supplies that we've needed.
Yeah,
so
and I think that's the message that we're trying to send out there as well is, you know, maybe your normal routine is to go to the big box retailers to get your stuff. Maybe now is the time to look around at some local providers of these goods and services because they're open and they're available to help you get your groceries. Even a larger store like Freshco, it amazed me. Someone suggested I go there for some certain things, and that place was empty. And I think it's partly because a lot of people don't even know that it's open. So you know, I guess the message is don't sit in an hour and a half lineup in a store because you're possibly subjecting yourself to germs. And try these other places and give locals the business now when they need it.
Absolutely, and you know, just by way of example, the town butcher there at the bottom of Better Road at Keith Wilson. I contacted him the other day.
Bill Turnbull.
Trying,
yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, Mr. Turnbull, and I contacted him the other day, and the process they're following, they've set up e-transfers so they don't have to touch each other's credit cards. They'll actually deliver to your house, or they'll deliver to the parking lot, pop your trunk, and then they shut it after they put the stuff in. So I think our community stores owned by the residents of Chilliwack are bending over backwards to help everybody get it done for whatever it takes.
Yeah, it's people are getting innovative, and it's just when times are stressful, the human ingenuity is amazing. And Councillor Mercer, I just wanted to thank you for your time this morning. I know you've got to get on to another call shortly, and I wish you well. I hope you get through your incubation period here pretty quickly, and stay safe. And thank you for being on Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City.
And to you too, and thank you.
Appreciate it.